Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This could be the last video of the day, unless there's other breaking news. And boy, is this a good one to be going out on, because there is rebellion in the ranks. And we're not talking the usual suspects here. The SNP is facing a massive rebellion, big enough to overturn the proposals. If these people vote against the conversion therapy ban, it is dead in the water. The Greens would have no option but to quit. Humza Yousaf would be so humiliated by the loss, it would weaken him beyond any hope of repair, and it would likely propel Kate Forbes into such a strong position that there would be calls for a leadership election. This is massive news. Let's look at it and see what is going on, see what the ramifications of this are, and to see why people are feeling so strong about it that they're willing to do what they're doing. Here goes. The ranks of the separatists are being riven in half, and the battleground isn't policy, isn't economics, it isn't independence. It is the forces of decency against the forces of degeneracy. Humza Yousaf has marked his territory as being on the side of the degenerates. Kate Forbes and her coterie are on the side of decency, and she has garnered enough support that Humza Yousaf must be a very worried man. Not just worried that he's going to lose this vote, but worried for his leadership of the party. It is that serious. Hapless Humza Yousaf faces 15 strong SNP rebellion over controversial conversion therapy ban plan. Enough, should they vote against it, that he will lose the vote, weakening him, and the Greens would have no option but to resign and break the Bute House Agreement, with such a showing against what they deem as being a red line and such a strong rebellion from within the SNP. They know it's an untenable position. It's fantastic, isn't it? And all riven by the moral stand of people who do care about children, it seems. So well done to Kate and her side. I know I don't agree with every policy they say, but on this, when it's the civilized man versus the barbarian, you must always take the side of the civilized man. Or, in this case, woman. I'm not being sexist. The First Minister's grip on the SNP has always been unsteady, and he faces further infighting due to the Scottish Government bringing forward a plan to ban conversion therapy, a move heavily supported, of course, by the Scottish Greens, because ultimately it is their policy. It's another one of their policies that they're forcing on the SNP. So hapless Humza Yousaf is facing another SNP rebellion over his controversial plan to ban conversion therapy, with up to 15 MPs rumoured to be against the proposals. It's the first major legislation being introduced in 2024, with a consultation launched earlier this week. And boy, are they going to be consulted on. But of course, they're not going to ask the important people, the people involved. They're only going to ask the extremists, the degenerates, the perverts and the pedos that inhabit the Greens and SNP. It has already been threatened with legal action by religious groups due to fears it damages free speech and also the rights of parents. It was described as chilling by the Catholic Church and said that it may criminalise advice or opinion given in good faith. The bill will attempt to outlaw, to change or suppress any person's gender identity or sexual orientation, with 7 years in prison, the maximum sentence for this. We've done this and we covered this, where the state will come along and say, you are refusing to allow your children to sterilise themselves. We're taking those children from you. We're going to allow the children to sterilise themselves, and we're throwing you in prison for doing that, for stopping your children, who we deem at 8 or 9 or 10 years of age sufficiently mature enough to make that decision. Is this not madness? Are we not through the looking glass? Have we not gone beyond insanity, but onto state-sponsored child abuse? But you would expect nothing from the SNP, and after all, as I say time and time again, we all know what the P stands for. Officials acknowledged in the document that this often conversion practices took place in a family setting, which raised fears that mums or dads could be criminalised if they refused to go along with the child's declaration that they are transgender. Some of our examples of what could break the law was given, including stopping someone from dressing in a way that reflects their sexual orientation or gender identity, even if a parent believed they were acting in the child's best interests. This is such a rare thing in reality. The actual mental condition is such a rare thing in reality. It's like 1 in a million. But because of social media, because of pressures, because of transgender lobbying, pushing this dangerous ideology onto children consistently, and the moment you say anything against them, oh, you're transphobic, you're not. You're anti-abuse. And the trans lobby are pro-abuse. We can't keep referring to them as the trans lobby. Let's call them what they are. Child abusers. Let's call them that, because that's what they are. And one only has to look at prisons where trans prisoners 10 times more likely to be in prison for sex crimes. These people must be regarded in that light. You must always regard them with that suspicion that they are potentially sexual deviants, which most of them appears are. The proposals have sparked concern within the SNP MSP group, with the Scottish Sun reporting that there could be as many as 15 rebels who may vote against it. Some of the usual names here. Veteran Nat Fergus Ewing has already spoken out against them, which has led to criticism from the Scottish Greens Minister, the imp, Patrick Purvey, as he accused him of supporting torture. No, Patrick, he's looking to stop the child abuse that you are forcing onto families, you degenerate, deviant little prick. A bill on banning conversion therapy forms part of a key of the Bute House Agreement, but the Greens have so far been compliant to the SNP, despite other key sections of the deal being axed or delayed, because they won't go while they're earning 100k a year and got their claws in the seats of power. But this, if Kate Forbes wins this and has such a big rebellion, will force them to go. Oh dear. Other potential Nat rebels include former leadership contender Kate Forbes, no shit, who suggested during her campaign that she would not back a ban. The likes of Ivan McKee, Annabelle Ewing, Stephanie Callaghan, John Mason may also be against it. Annabelle Ewing, I'm not surprised. Ivan McKee, to be honest, I'm not surprised. Another one, I like Ivan, I've got to be honest. Again, don't like the separatist view, but as an actual politician, he's not entirely awful, to be fair. Yousaf has already faced humiliating rebellions against plans for highly protected marine areas and the deposit return scheme, as the SNP's iron discipline has wavered. That's because he's not a leader. He's the seat warmer. He's nothing. He's a limp dick. He really is. He's a spineless limp dick. He has got no balls. He's got no authority. People treat him within the party with contempt because he doesn't engender any fear. People aren't scared of the man who won't be leader, perhaps now by Easter. So what have they got to fear? There's nothing of him. He's a nothing and a nobody. Scottish Labour said it would be cautious in potential support, meaning they know how unpopular this is in the country and they don't want to risk doing something against the wishes of the masses just prior to a contentious general election. Labour will be keeping their powder dry. Even if they agree with it, they know the country don't like it, so they will be going, no, we're not supporting it, because they don't want to risk losing votes just before the election. Anyway, the First Minister said on Friday, we want to hear people's views. No, you don't. That's the last thing he wants, right? But this is utter bullshit. We want to hear people's views. Go out in the streets and listen to the views. And listen to what the vast, massive majority of people want. You don't want to listen to the views of people. You want to completely ignore the views of people, because the views of people are, time and time again, on virtually every single policy, against what you and your perverted cadre of power-mad perverts and pricks and predators and peds want. He's leading a party of the lowest of the low, and he does not want to hear what people think. He was asked about the potential legal battle, but he shrugged off these concerns due to it still just being a consultation. Simon Cowell will be number 9 then when it goes to court and he loses that, you know. Plus, of course, you're probably going to get Section 35 anyway by Westminster, so I wouldn't be worrying too much about it. But anyway, Simon Calvert, Deputy Director of the Christian Institute, said, "We are particularly worried about the government's plans for civil protection orders." Now, here's the thing. Him being a good Muslim and all that, you'd think the guys down the mosque would be saying, you can't push this one because, you know, it goes against what their teachings are. So you've got to wonder why he's pushing this. Or is this another one of those that when push comes to shove and the bill goes through, he'll find he's got a very important meeting elsewhere so that he can't vote for his own policy. Unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable. Well, this is her chance to shine. Kate, I hope you do it. I hope you win this one. And I hope you have more than 15. I would like to see an absolute majority of SMPs voting against it. And that would send the message. And at that moment, Humza's out, you're in, the Greens have gone, and you've got 2 years left with someone vaguely sane, and to be fair for all the other faults, decent in charge. Certainly moral and ethically so. Which would make a change for the SNP, wouldn't it? Anyway, I shall stop there and I shall round off and I shall come up and we shall finish the video. I don't think that this can be oversold. I think this is a battle royale for the heart and soul of the SNP. And I think if Kate wins, and you know, by wins I mean has sufficient support that the bill is lost, then I think that that will thankfully be the end of the Greens, thankfully be the end of the Muslim in chief with his very weird views on what society should be. And although, like I say, I'm not, you know, I don't agree with Kate Forbes on her separatism and that, and there has been issues and other things, I do think at least if you're going to have someone in charge for the next 2.5 years or so, please let it be someone with a sense of moral righteousness. At least then you're not going to be worried about the law changing to allow the state to remove your children because the state don't like your views. This is a very difficult subject, so I'm just going to stop. But I am going to ask that you do please hit the subscribe button. We want to follow this story. So do please hit the subscribe button, strengthen the channel, let the truth come out, and we'll go forward and see what's going to happen over the next weeks, months and years, I suppose. Till then, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you hopefully tomorrow, if not later tonight. But I don't think, unless there's a big story, this will be it for the day. So that'll be it until tomorrow. Take care, have a good evening, and we start a new week afresh with hope in our heart and a song on our lips and a smile lifting us towards, well, optimism? Who knows? Anyway, thank you and goodbye.